Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me today is a brother that I've had the pleasure of knowing for a number of years. We both come from the same hometown of Chicago. We both go to church together. This brother is a husband, he's a father, and most importantly, he's a man of God. Time out of his busy schedule to hang out with us today, to share a little bit about his journey, his story, with the hopes of encouraging and inspiring and uplifting others through the sharing again of his experiences in life and dealing with adversity and overcoming those challenging moments. So it is my privilege and honor to have my brother with us today on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to introduce to you Mr. James Potts. James, thank you so much, my brother, for being on the
Thank,
show.
thank you for having me, Robert. Uh, I appreciate it. As he said, I'm James Potts. I'm from Chicago. I'm a husband, father, man of God. I just, I just do what I got to do to keep everything going. And right now, I'm working from home, so getting used to that after being out in the workforce, out going around. But it's challenging. It has its challenges and everything. But I am good. I have seven beautiful children, four grandchildren, and it's just a struggle every day. But I love my babies no matter what, regardless. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and when this brother says that he is a lover of his kids, I've seen it in motion. These are not just words. Very committed dad. You can just see that love to his sons and his daughters and his beautiful wife. I mean, he's truly a family man, a hardworking man, and so you can't do nothing but respect that and have a great appreciation for that brother. So again, thankful to have him on board, and I'm excited to hear what he has to share with us. I know he's going to drop some gems and some nuggets on us. So, with that said, let's jump right into it. So, anytime we start talking about our journeys and our stories, our that time in our life as we go through the ups and downs and everything in between, you can't really fully capture the whole essence of it all without starting from the beginning. And that's exactly what I want to do with you in the telling of your story. So, if you would, you know, take us back because everybody, of course, you and I, we're familiar with having grown up in Chicago, but our listeners, everybody that's online, may not have had an opportunity to, experience what Chicago life is like, what that experience is like. So, if you would kind of reflect back on your upbringing, your childhood, if you would, and kind of walk us through what was that like for you coming up in Chicago, fond memories that you have about it, as well as if there was any challenges along the way in growing up. Kind of give our audience a taste of where it all begins in your journey.
Okay. Yeah, I grew up on the south side of Chicago, 73rd University, South Chicago, near the Pocket, as they call it.
Hmm.
And at the time I was growing up, it was we had a lot of we did a lot of outside stuff, like played softball, kickball, basketball in the alley with the little milk crates and everything until somebody tore down the hoop and then put it in the back alley, and we did all those things. We had our rough times, and also growing up, we had our share of gangs and drugs and everything. So there was that pressure to try to stay neutral, so you wouldn't have to go through what some of your friends go through and everything. But it was a struggle every day going to school, and you going to school with like big people that were selling drugs, gang banging, and all of that. So that's what I was around every day, and my struggle was trying to stay out of it and try to stay, because I just wanted to live life, because I knew that what some other guys that went through, like they say, you get jumped in, and only way to get out, you get jumped out, and a lot of times people don't survive that. And I've had some friends that went through that. They got shot, and killed, and or they locked up and everything. And it was rough going to school every day. Um, having to face that, walking through the neighborhood and everything. Like you got to watch what colors you wore and everything. Because where I was, it was the Black Gangster Disciples. So you couldn't wear no like blue or royal blue walking through there. Just you had to have on those colors in that area. So like red and all of that, you had to watch what you wore. So you try to wear neutral colors. So I had mostly dark colors, black and everything. So it was, oh man, but there were some fun times, even through that, going to school and me, I love to sing. So that's what kept me that's what kept me out of trouble and kept me pretty much on the right track. But I just miss growing up to where when you had block parties and everything, because they don't have those anymore. When you when all the everybody you knew everybody on this block and on the next block and on the next block over there, when they had their block party, you was able to go. When you had yours, they block off the street and you had fun. You had music, games, and it was just all fun. Now it's everything is changed. Nobody pretty much goes outside, and it's all clicks. Instead of gangs, now you have clicks to where it's just where people are. How can I say? Because I've been bullied and I've got into my share of fights in school and stuff. Um, So, but now they do a different type of bullying, cyberbullying, and doing stuff on computer. But like they say, if you don't know how to fight, now they shoot. Now they shoot and ask questions later, and they don't have no regard for life, no respect for elders, like we did back in the day. Because anybody back in the day, anybody that was an elder in that area, if they caught you doing something that you wasn't supposed to be doing and they knew your mama, they would tear your butt up, drag you home, and then that's that second whooping you get right there. So, like they said, it took a village to raise you, and a lot of people had fought 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 against that, but I thank God I was able to get through that uh, to where I am to be the man that I am now. To live this long and survive that, it's just crazy. But I had my
Absolutely.
share of had my share of troubles.
Hey, I can relate to that. And first off, of course, I appreciate your transparency and sharing that because, like you said, it was a different time. And like I said, when you
Mhm.
grow up in a big city like Chicago, inner city, South, I grew up on the South Side as well. So much of what you shared about, from everything from the fun side of it, where people knew people knew each other from block to block, the block parties, the hanging out and running in the streets outside, enjoying the outdoors. Those are all fine memories. And as you said, you had to sort of, if you wanted to stay out of the clear, stay in the clear, so to speak, of all of the foolishness that was out there, you had to learn how to walk that line. So you didn't get caught up in the gang scene. You didn't get caught up in the drug scene. You didn't stray away from your school, your focus on your studies and things of that nature. So it wasn't always easy to do that.
Mhm.
And there were temptations. I mean, because you see people who were in that life, and you felt like, oh, that's where the cool kids are, or
Right.
that's an opportunity to make some money. I had friends who were gang banging and selling drugs, and they were the ones who early on was riding in the nice cars and had a nice gear and pulling out the little wad of money and all of that, and that can be very tempting. That can be a big
Right.
draw to you, especially if you're growing up in a household where money is tight. You didn't have
Mhm.
much. It could be very easy to get caught up in that. And like yourself, unfortunately, while I was, blessed as well as you were in terms of being able to avoid that stuff, had some friends who didn't, and like you said, got caught up in that life and in some instances cost them their life. One of my very best friends was, you know, killed in a drive-by, sitting in front of his house, 17 years old. I remember that like it was yesterday, and people I know that got locked up, some for a short period of time, some for a very long period of time,
Mhm.
so it's just crazy. But then, and then the other thing that you spoke to, which was so true as well. Even those who were, doing that kind of stuff, when we were growing up, there was a code back then. It was
Right.
like, you could have somebody, for example, that was in a gang, or selling drugs, but if they knew that you had something in you that was special, that was a key thing about you that said, he gonna be all right. He's a smart kid. He's gonna do something with himself. They
Right.
you might have a gangbanger or a drug dealer deter you from going into that lifestyle because they thought enough of you because they saw that potential in you. Now they may not say the same thing about the ones that they thought otherwise about, but if they knew your parents or
Right.
things like that, even they would be looking out for you to keep you out of trouble. You don't need to be a part of this. Get on up out of here. You don't need to be hanging out with these guys or doing this kind of stuff. I'll tell your mom, I'll tell your dad, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
situation was.
Yeah.
Um, but like I said, with that code, even down to fighting, kids get into fights, things happen. But it was a code back then where you get into a fight. It was typically, in most cases, it was going to be a fair fight. You had your little fight, and then 10, 15 minutes later, you was boys again. And
Right.
you said, but now,
Mm-hmm.
we don't fight fair no more. Now, those same kids in that same age bracket that we were doing that kind of stuff, like you said, they're pulling out guns, and it could just be something as simple as he looked at me funny, and they're taking life, no value, no concern for life, and not understanding, the impact of that. And it's just a whole different scene, just not even being able to trust to let your kids out anymore,
Right.
because you're worried about somebody snatching them up or doing some old crazy stuff like that. So, a lot of good, a lot of not so good to deal with. But as you stated, God's covering, God's grace, allowed us to be able to navigate through those times. And it's a blessing in itself to be here today to be able to speak to that, knowing what those surroundings were, knowing the different paths that you could have fallen into, but being
Oh,
able to have persevered through that and still, you know, having grown up and have a family of your own, and you know
right.
and 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 have a life that you can reflect on, whereas some of our other friends and cohorts didn't even make it out of their teens in some instances.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely appreciate you bringing that up for the good as well as for the just kind of reflecting on how thankful we need to be for being able to navigate through that, and of course having loving parents and a loving village that
Right.
thought enough of us to make sure we stayed out of harm's way as best as they could possibly
Mm-hmm.
ensure that for us. So as we talk about our journeys, man, obviously we started out with the beginnings, taking us through childhood and everything, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm sure it's no secret to you as you get into adulthood, those experiences, those life moments, those challenges, they begin to expand, and you start to encounter more and more different things from different angles, different perspectives. And you know, at some point, you live long enough, there are going to be moments in time where you're faced with some challenges that they just simply hit a little different. This is more than just something I need to work through real fast, real quick, get it out of the way. Sometimes we get hit with a pressure, a weight, a burden that's heavy to the point where we begin to doubt, we begin to question, how am I going to get through this? This is a little bit more than what I'm accustomed to. This is not something I can just throw some money and make go away. This is not something I can just pick up the phone and make a phone call to make it go away. I can't call in a favor to make it go away. Really, in a circumstance, a storm, if you will, that I don't really see a way out. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Um, so my question for you is, in talking about that, tell me about a time where you felt like that you were in that kind of moment in life where you didn't see a way out. You had doubts, you had questions, you were worried, you were concerned. Am I going to be able to overcome this? This is a bit much. Obviously you're here today. We're thankful
Yeah.
for that. So we can trust and believe that God made a way to navigate you through that thing. But if you would kind of take us through what a situation like that you encountered, what was that story like for you, and what was ultimately the turning point where you began to see that way out and kind of overcoming that challenging moment?
Well, I do have a perfect story, and some young guys may relate to these stories because I think I was either 16 or 17 years old, and at this time, um, it was like in the evening, and the Black Gangster Disciples was having initiation in our park. So when they start going to that park, people start pulling their kids out because they know what's going to happen up there. And so and I can see it just like it's like it happened yesterday. I'm standing on the corner of the block, and it's like this was my crossroads. It was like I was either gonna take this path or that path. So I was looking over there. I said, I want to go over there and see what's going on. Because I knew if I went over there, I was going to end up going that path over there to see what they do as far as initiating and all of that stuff like that. But while I was standing there, and I stood there for a long time just watching them gather at that park. And while I was standing there, one of my friends that I played basketball with that lived on that block, he came up to me and asked me if I wanted to go to choir rehearsal, go to church, go to choir rehearsal, because he knew I loved to sing. So, and it was like, and at that point, it was like, okay, should I go here or should I go on the choir rehearsal? And you know, when you're young and young teenager, you like, he said, it's going to be some fine girls there. And so me loving to sing and of course being a teenage boy loving girls too. I said, oh, okay. I said, I'll go. I went to church and went and I forgot all about what was going on at that park. And I said it couldn't have been nobody but God that I don't know why I get emotional about this, because couldn't have been nobody but God that put me on that path. Excuse me, bro. It
Take your
just,
time.
man, because I think if I hadn't took that path, I wouldn't have my beautiful children, my wife, or anything. I wouldn't even be here. I'd probably either be locked up or in jail. And so I end up going to church. I end up getting my butt whooped that night because it was the Church of God in Christ. And you know, when they had choir rehearsal, it's 2 and 3 hours. It was already 6 o'clock. And I had to be home before the street lights came on. So soon as I got home, my mom is sitting there because our house sat in the back, and we had a big front yard. So our house sitting there, and we had the spotlight over the stairs. So I'm walking home, and I'm like, oh, because it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock, and all I could see is my mama sitting there, and that spotlight on her, and she had the belt across her lap. I said, just came home. But I say this to this day. I said, I took that whooping and that punishment. I said that couldn't have been nobody but God, because that whooping she gave me was less painful than the whooping I could have gotten going to that park. So, because I could have, that could have changed my whole life to where I'm sitting up rebelling, selling drugs, shooting up people, getting shot at, or even getting shot, and all of that. So it just, I just thank God for that path, so that I overcame that just by my love of music and singing, and uh, and then I end up being uh, that was like what I was 17 years old, 16, 17 years old. And that pastor of that church back then, I still know and love that family today. And it's been over 40 years. Him and his wife, I know them, they've been together 60 years this year. And I just thank God for them. And it's just crazy. And after I got into church, everything changed around me as far as like the gangbangers and stuff, because they used to call me choir boy now, just like Five Heartbeats. And
Uh-huh.
it was like, because me and my sister, we threw a party, senior party at my house. And so we had everybody come, and they was like, what, church boy is having a party at his house? And if I kid you not, we had guys from different gangs in my house, two different gangs, and it was all kumbaya. I mean, we all partied, we had fun, we danced, sang, and no problems. I had gangbangers helping me clean up after the party
Mm.
because they knew my mother and they respected my mother. So me being church boy and everything and and all of that, that helped. That gave me that respect from them. They knew that okay, we're not gonna be bugging him talking about what you ride and all that because that's the
Hmm.
first thing they say. What you ride? I'm like, I'm riding the bus. That's
Right.
that's the only thing I
Right.
could tell you. Because if you say the wrong thing, that's it. That's when you get. I watch people get beat up on the bus because they just say something stupid or they try to act tough. When you don't see is they come in groups, and if you say something wrong to that person, they don't fight fair. So, and I just thank God for getting me through that and putting me on this path to where I was able to do a lot of great things.
That is beautiful, man. Love that story, and like I said, such relatability to that because as you stated, I mean, I love the fact that that was a crossroads moment for you. Here was I could go for that life, or I could go for this other life, and the thing is, the path that you ultimately chose to take wasn't even on your mind. It was like you said, that wasn't nothing but God. God brings a friend in the neighborhood to just walk up to you. You've been standing there all this time you know
Hmm.
so that's the first thing. Like, I'm standing here all this time just watching. So what's the holdup? If I'm clearly curious, I'm clearly wanting to know what's going on. Why am I standing here for as long as I'm standing here? Because God was positioning someone that you knew, a familiar face that wasn't caught up into that, but somebody who would offer you an opportunity, offer you an invitation to take a path that was different than the one that you had been standing there contemplating all along. And you take this path, you have an opportunity to do something that you loved already, which was singing. And, and for the listeners, they need to understand that when you got home and you got that whooping, you didn't get the whooping because you went to church and sang. You got the whooping because street lights was on and you wasn't in the house. That's
Right.
what you got the whooping for. But as you said, the beauty to that moment was, like you said, that was one of those whoopings that I was cool with taking because you knew that whooping wasn't nothing in comparison to the whooping that you would have gotten not only that night, but the future whippings, and we're not just talking about physical whippings, the mental whippings, the emotional
Right.
whippings, just all of the drama and the chaos that would have come about from that lifestyle. God said, no, I got something better for you. Go on to choir practice. Now you're gonna get it when you get home, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure once your mom realized that, okay, you know, he's getting more and more, in his walk with Christ and he's singing and all that, she probably didn't have a problem with you partaking in that a little bit more, even if it kept
Right.
you out a little bit later because you were doing something
Hmm.
positive with yourself and not just running the streets,
Exactly.
but again, I truly do believe, as I know you do, that God will put pivotal moments in your life, groundbreaking, crossroad type moments where you got a choice. You got a choice to go this way or that way. And thanks to God that you made the right decision at the right time. Because as you stated, that decision was critical and it could have changed the whole trajectory of what you know life to be today. May not
Hmm.
have even been a thing had you
Right.
gone to that park. And just the whole scene with the park, so people understand that. Because I was thinking about that because I lived right around the corner from a park, and like you said, it was a park where kids ran and played and did all kind of stuff like that. But it was also a park where you had that coming together, like you spoke about, where the gang members came together. And I still remember when those type of moments would take place, whether it was an initiation or whether it was just them hanging out. You knew that was your time. If you were old enough, that was your time to be up out of that park. And then, like you said, for the parents who had smaller children, okay, yeah, we need to get up out of here. It was an unspoken, we need to get up on out of here because you already know that what's about to possibly go on here is not for everybody to be up in it unless you're a part of that scene.
Right. Hmm.
Um, And then the last thing that you stated, and we kind of touched on that at the very beginning, was that once you are identified as being that kid that's on a certain path, in particular a positive pathway, there's a respect that actually comes from the very people that if had you that you get caught up in that life, that gang banging life, that drug dealing life, some of those same individuals won't even mess with you.
Mm-hmm.
Not because they're scared of you, not because they worried about anything. It's like it was just a respect that, okay, he's made it clear where his stand is, where his direction is. We're not going to force his hand to steer from that. We respect it. He's a kid that's, like they refer to as choir boy. He's a church kid. Leave him alone. And then his mom probably knows my mom and their moms or whatever. So now
Mm-hmm.
you have like you said, you have a party, and just envision that. I got a party where there's rival gang members in the same house. They're not tearing up my house. They're not flipping out guns. They have a respect for my house. They have a respect for my mother. They probably saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. They there to clean up and all that because they knew that it was just the code of the day. That there
Right.
was a respect to your elders, to your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You just didn't. There's just certain things that you didn't do. It didn't matter what you was doing out in the streets. You better not do it up in here. That's just what it was, man. So you to say that is just so powerful. And unfortunately, we've gotten away from that, and we need to get back to that because these
Right.
days kids do talk to their parents and or talk to other elders and adults and such any old kind of way that they feel like, and that's just not okay. And
Right.
so somehow we've kind of lost our way in that regard. But it's refreshing to hear a story like yours, and prayerfully, people who have a chance to tune in, particularly young people who have a chance to hear what you're talking about here. You know, decisions matter. Think
Mm-hmm.
smart, think wisely. Weigh out the pros and the cons. With that, understand that some of these decisions will be life changing in a beautiful and a magnificent way, and some of these decisions will be life changing in a traumatic way. And so, again, just thankful that you made that right choice, that God set it up for you to make that right choice. And you've been on your journey ever since, growing in the Lord, growing in, and imparting that into your family. Because, of course, I've obviously been around, had a chance to experience being around your kids and your wife, and
Mm-hmm.
they too, you have a family of God, that of God
Right.
followers, of believers. So that's a beautiful thing, man. Beautiful. I love that. Um, so I'm curious to know, when you do deal with, your challenges and adversities of life, whether it's something big like, do I make the decision of following the crowd and the gangs and all of that, or if it's just the day to day regular stuff that that we deal with. I'm curious to know what is your process, your routine, your regiment that you like to follow that kind of helps you to process dealing with adversity or challenging times. Like, what do you like to do that just works best for you in those type of moments?
For me, it's my first thought is my family and my children. It's like I want to be there to watch them grow and go through different things in their life to where if they need advice or anything like that, I want to be there for them. And my thing, I keep the mindset is to like everything happens for a reason. So if things don't work out in your favor, then there's a reason. So, like they say, when one door closes, God opens a window or another door opens and things like that. And I can say that uh, going back before I moved here to Texas, I I end up having heart surgery, open heart surgery. So, and this was, and I was in school at the time because I was letting my kids know, I don't care how old you get, you can still learn. And I was going to school and I was taking like a gym class, as we call it. I don't know what they call it down here, but I was in gym class at Kennedy King College, and we were doing yoga and everything. You know how they get your heart rate and stuff up, and then I felt this numbness on my left side. My whole arm and left side of my chest was numb. So I was like, man, what is going on here? So I'm I sit down and relax. Okay, then everything settles and I'm good. So, and then my wife now, my then girlfriend, she was like, "You need to go to the doctor to check that out." So I went to the doctor. The doctor told me to go ahead and go take a stress test. And I went to take the stress test. And as I was taking the stress test, they stopped in the middle at the beginning of the stress test. It was like I think I was a few minutes into the stress test where they put you on a treadmill, try to get your heart rate up. They sent me from that to the ER because my heart was out, my valves were clogged up. So they didn't know how bad it was. They said, we won't know until we open you up. I'm like, open me up? What is, I mean,
Mm.
uh, they said, we can try this, put some fluid in your veins and see where the clog is, but we won't know for sure until it opens up. I said, okay. And at that time, I was on blood thinner, so I had to wait to get the surgery. I said, okay, we're going to just get through it. So they told me I had to have a open heart surgery. First, they were going to put in stents. Said we put a couple of stents in. I said, okay, let's do this because I got some living to do. I need my family. So let's get it done. So once I had the surgery, it's like I end up having a 5-way bypass surgery. They had to take veins from my leg to put on my heart to and everything. So and then it was like, okay, now I'm getting through this challenge. Okay, got through the surgery, and then it's like after the surgery, I end up having a heart attack. I was like,
Mm.
and I didn't know none of this until after I was recovering and everything. So I'm like the devil trying to take me before I'm ready to go. I say no, this is not gonna work. Say so I fought through that, and I said, like I said, one number God keeping me here. So and fast forward to now, this would be what that was 2011. So it's been over about 12 years now, and I'm still here, and I can sit up and run with the best of them without any problems or anything like that, heart problems and everything. So I just thank God for that because my mindset wasn't, oh, I need to get my will together and everything, and because I don't know what's gonna happen. It's I might not make it through this surgery. My mindset was, let's get this over and done with because I got some more living to do. I got kids to take care of and things like that. So and and that's how I get through it. I think about my family and my kids. That keeps me motivated in whatever I do. So that makes me the best that I can be in everything that I can do. So they can see that okay, your father is working his butt off, and they just, regardless of what's going on, what challenges, even my family, like even my wife had a challenge to where she was working a job that was so stressful that she wanted to just quit. So I told her, go ahead and quit. I'll work until you find another job. So I worked for 6 months straight. So I worked two jobs, and that job, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think I had 2 hours worth of sleep within those 3 days because I went from work to work because I was working from home and I was working at Amazon. So it was an hour drive to work 12 hours there, come back home, get home like 7 o'clock, and I had to start work at 8. I worked from 8 to 5, had to be back at work at 6 o'clock that evening. So I'm driving, or she's driving me to work so I can take a nap. And I did this for almost 6 months until she finally found a job to we where we were able to. I was able to let go of those jobs and work
Wow.
just one job. So like I say, that's my motivation. I love my family, no matter what. Like they say, I have no I have no regrets on anything that I've done as far as supporting and taking care of my family, and it's got me to this point where I'm happy. See, I don't have a lot of gray hair, but I am I thank God for everything.
That's beautiful, man. I ask this question all the time, and that's definitely a very unique approach, but a very powerful approach. It's like, when I'm going through stuff, you know, I don't make it be in essence, what you're saying is I don't make it be about me. I think about how blessed I am with the family that God has given me, and how much of the experiences and enjoyment and the pleasures that I want to have with them. And so, with you having that mindset, with you having that perspective, it allows you again to take it off of you, and instead of making it be about me and using it as a complaining and a whining and a moaning moment, you say, okay, I'm dealing with whatever it is I'm dealing with. Okay, but all I know is that I got a loving family that I want to spend many many years with. I want to enjoy many many memories with and experiences with. So whatever this
Exactly.
thing is, I'm gonna work through it however I got to work through it. Obviously we know you got God at the head of your life, so I'm gonna let him lead the way, and we just gonna
Right.
get through it. Stuff happens. It's happening for a reason. I may not understand it. I may not know why, but it's here. We're gonna deal with it. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna let whatever that is to get to me so much to where it might potentially take me out, leading me to another heart attack, leading me to some other, breakdown process where I'm no good for my family. So that's why I'm not
Exactly.
gonna let these stresses and these pressures overwhelm me. You're still human, so you have a right to
Hmm.
be frustrated and annoyed and angry or upset about different storms that are coming your way, but I'm not going to allow myself to get stuck here. I'm not going to let that thing consume me
Exactly.
to the point to where I'm so worked up, I'm so stressed out to where I'll allow that situation to take me out when it didn't have to. And then I'm missing out on my family and my family is missing out on me. I'm not going to let no storm get me like that. Because again, at the
Right.
end of the day, I know who's in charge,
Exactly.
and that's just a beautiful approach to that. So I love that. Very, very, very powerful. Um, so James, if you had a chance, man, you reflect back on your years of experiences, of lessons learned, and all of those things. If you had a chance to sit across the table from the younger James, knowing the way that you used to think, the challenges that you had to overcome or things that you might have struggled with early on, trying to make the right decisions, make the right moves. You talked about that earlier about, I had a crossroads moment where I had to make a decision. How am I determining this life to be? Am I going to go down this path or am I going to go down this path? If you had a
Hmm.
chance to speak to that younger James, or perhaps somebody that might be listening right now, that they're at that crossroads that you were at, the wrong way to do it, the right way to do it, what would be your words of encouragement, your words of inspiration that you would have to share with them or to share with the younger James that lets them know, what's the best path for me to follow? What things do I need to be thinking about or considering in that crossroads moment where which way I decide to go is going to make all the difference in the world for my life and what is made of it? What would be those words of encouragement that you would have?
It would be to don't worry about what anyone else thinks. If it's something that you love to do, whether it's singing, playing basketball, football, whatever, if it's something that you are passionate about, then do it. Don't let nobody else. Don't follow the crowd. Make sure you be a leader, and 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 just do what you love doing and put your whole heart into it. Try to be the best you can be in everything that you do. So if your path changes, if you change and you say, no, I want to do computers. Okay, I'm gonna stop playing basketball. I'm gonna get into computers. Be the best you can be in that. And then if it changes, if you change your mind, then whatever you do, just be the best you can be in everything that you set out to do, because nobody's going to. And don't worry about what other people say, because you just focus on your family and the people that support you, people that's looking out for you, because those are the ones that you're going to have to lean on when times get hard, and when you can't make that, when you got a tough decision to make. Those are the ones you're going to go to ask for advice, for help, and things like that. Help me to make this decision. You so just like I tell my kids now, I say, your friends and stuff, that's fine and everything, but are your friends going to be there to help support you when things go bad?
Mm.
Because it's a lot of times when things are going good, oh, you got a lot of friends, and then as soon as things go south and you get in trouble or something like that, who are you calling? You calling mama, daddy, or your sister or brother? So it's my thing is just worry about what the people think that love you and care about you, and that's going to take care of you. Because all these other people, they come, friends come and go. You can make new friends. You can move on the next block and make friends there. You can go wherever and make friends, but your family, they are they're going to be always be there for you, regardless of whether y'all have fights, arguments, or whatever. If something goes down, family's going to be there. That's something I know for sure, because I'm there for my family. So, and
Mhm.
I'm praying that they be there for me if something go down.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Love that, man. And I'm glad you pointed it out like that because even again, as I reflect on your story, you had a love for singing, but it would have been very easy for you to distract from that and pursue the other path because, part of you loving singing came along with that, the name of, hey choir boy, hey church boy. And there's a
Hmm.
there's a young man or a young woman who has that same passion and love for singing, but because they're worried about somebody teasing them or calling them a name, they
Hmm.
might be thinking about not pursuing that which they're gifted to do because of what other people think or what
Right.
other people might say. And so
Hmm.
that was so important that you pointed that out because we can't get caught up in what everybody thinks, and nor can we get caught up in wanting to be a part of the crowd. You have to assume that role of leadership, that role of independence, and being your own man, being your own woman, and making those decisions that are best for you, even if it isn't something that the masses think that you should do or the masses feel like is best for you, because at the
Right.
end of the day, like you said, what's most important is who is my immediate support network, my support system, my immediate community of people who I know genuinely and authentically love me, want nothing but the best from me. They're gonna keep it real with me, that they're gonna be honest and straight up with me.
Hmm.
Those are the people who, if I'm going to listen to some advisement or some opinions or some thoughts, I want to tap into them because I know that they mean well by me. They're not
Right.
going to tell me anything to harm me, to distract me from pursuing my dreams and my aspirations or anything like that. And then of course, again, if you have the God component to it, you can rest assured He loves you unconditionally. So He's not going to be judgmental or anything of the like in terms of guiding you down the right paths and helping you make the correct decisions that is going to be best for your life. So that's what makes such power in your words of encouragement that you've just shared, because somebody needs to hear that. Somebody is at that crossroads and they're worried too much about what everybody else thinks. This doesn't happen to young people. It happens to adults too. You
Right.
know, you have something on your heart. Maybe it's an entrepreneurial venture that you want to do. Maybe it's some other thing that you want to try that God has placed in your heart to do. And there's people around that you maybe shared a little snippet of it and they think you crazy. How do you think you can pull that off? You don't have the smarts, you don't have the money, you don't have the resources. You got to be crazy to do that. Well, you call it what you want to, but if God placed it on my heart, he wouldn't put that vision on my heart. He wouldn't put that in my path, in my sight, if he didn't already have it worked out. All I got to do is step out on faith and and
Exactly.
and and trust that he's going to work it out, that he's going to provide everything that I need. He's going to open up whatever doors need to be opened up, and he's going to close whatever doors need to be closed to make sure that I get to where I need to get to. So, anything is possible with God. And so, again, that's just adds further fuel and further power to what you just said about, again, not getting caught up in the crowds, because too many of us get to follow in those crowds, and they're not there for us in those difficult and trying times. Or following the crowd can mean following yourself into walking into some chaos and some confusion and
Right.
some problems that you just don't need in your life. So
Mm.
I appreciate you sharing that, man. So, it's been great, man, having you on the show, sharing your story, you dropping some gems, dropping some nuggets, getting to know another layer of you, man. It's been a blessing as I knew it would be.
Mhm.
And I'll be the first one in line to say I've been blessed by what you're sharing, and I know others will that have an opportunity to tune in as well. But as is customary here on the Blessings of the Street podcast, man, we want to take the time to celebrate you, to love on you, to acknowledge you. So if you got anything that's going on right now, whether it's personal related, business related, or otherwise, exciting news, something upcoming that's down the pipe that you want want to share with us, to tell us about, we would love to hear about that. So again, we can celebrate you and celebrate, anything that you're connected with or experiencing right now, whether again present or future. What you got for us, James? What's going on with you in your life, and that we can celebrate?
Right now, I'm taking classes for cybersecurity, so I'm getting into that and to this tech world, trying to keep up with everything that's going on. So I still have some ways to go. So I'll probably be completed by June. So I'm looking forward to that and excited, and then to continue schooling to get my degree. Um, and I'm working on that too. So I'm like to say, you're not too, never too old to learn, and I love learning, and I'm going to continue to learn no matter what, regardless of what I'm doing. So I just thank God for that, and I thank God for you having me on this show, which is like a breath of fresh air. I appreciate you, bro.
Oh, absolutely, man. And again, congratulations to you on your pursuit with your education. And as you said, you're never too low, you're never too old to learn. And I'm excited for you and what opportunities that's going to open up for you as you expand your mind, expand your horizons, and be positioned to be a blessing to other people and to your family, as well as pouring in blessings on yourself, because you're doing it the right way,
Mm.
letting God be the head of it all, trusting in him, and following the steps that he's guiding you to follow. And he's making a way. He's making a way. When it doesn't seem like there's no way, he's making a way. And you've given us multiple examples of that being the truth in the sharing of the stories that you have, you know, uh, introduced us to. And again, I'm so appreciative of that. I'm just excited for you, man. I'm looking forward to more good news, more good happenings with you, man. And of course, you got an open invite anytime you want to come back on the show. You're more than
Okay.
welcome to do so. I
All
know you're a
right.
busy man, working a lot, doing your thing, and of course, obviously, we get to connect from time to time in church and things of that nature. But I'm just happy for you and for your beautiful family, man, and just nothing but blessings and love over everything that you do and everything that you touch, man. Definitely keeping you and the family lifted in prayer in all aspects of your life. So, and for my audience, if you've enjoyed, the content that we've talked about today, the whole vibe, the whole energy of what this podcast is all about, please subscribe, please share, please like, please comment. Because here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is what it's all about. We want to encourage, we want to inspire, we want to uplift, we want to use our personal stories, our personal testimonies to share with you, with the hopes of being able to give you some hope, and knowing that no matter what storms come your way, no matter what challenges, what barriers cross your path, nothing is too big for God for you to be able to overcome and work through that. Storms are just a part of the journey, but you can't look at the storms as being a negative event. You have to transform your mind and looking at them as opportunities to grow, to develop, to be a better version of yourself, to be something that puts you in position where God can use you in a mighty and a magnificent way, not only for the advancement of his kingdom, but to just to pour and impact the lives of many throughout this world. So don't underestimate God. Don't limit him. And if you don't have a relationship with him, I promise you, if you can make that decision today, it'll be the best decision that you'll ever make. James is a testimony to that. I'm a testimony to that. We're not telling you something that we heard about. We're telling you something we've experienced firsthand. He will
Amen.
not lead you wrong. He will not lead you astray. It'll be the best commitment relationship that you will ever have. So, with that said, remember, here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, you keep persevering, you keep fighting that good fight. Don't let the storms of life overtake you, overwhelm you, stress you out, worry you, because you got a God that's bigger than all of that. And understand that there's a purpose in it all. We go through what we go through for a reason. It's a part of the process. We need to learn to embrace that, accept it for what it is, and trust and lean on God to guide us accordingly. So until next time, you take care of yourselves. I loved having you aboard today, my guests and my audience, and I look forward to you joining in with us next time when we come on the Blessings in the Streets podcast to share more of our stories and more of our journeys to encourage and uplift others. So until then, you take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then.